morning, Quadcopter 101, and today's shout-out goes to Thunder Ranch's Ubiquity, who was first to say first in one of my recent videos, and thus wins this shout-out. So congratulations. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here with a review of another neat RC aircraft. This is the Volantex Super Cub 761-3. So what is the 761-3? Well, whenever you see a Super Cub, you can usually assume this is a trainer RC aircraft, and it is. Indeed it is. This is a fully stabilized, actually, RC trainer, which includes gyro stabilization to automatically keep the plane level in flight. If you get into trouble, you just let go of this, say it's diving to the ground, just let go of the sticks, and this thing will automatically hover, or not hover, but level itself off to prevent the crash. Now, with that in mind, you can turn off the gyro stabilization if you wish, if you want to do acrobatic flights, but it does, it's mainly a trainer plane, mainly for beginner pilots to help them learn how to fly. This is a learn how to fly plane. Now, with that in mind, this is what we call a 3-channel aircraft. With 3-channel aircraft, we do not have any aileron controls. There is no servos and there is no push rods going up here, connectors to the ailerons. They are centered. The only controls that we have on this are for throttle and for rudder control and for elevator control. It's to give you a general idea, mainly for learning orientation. And also, you get the feel for flying, even with a 4-channel plane, because the controls are on the right stick. For rudder, this will be your rudder control, and this will be your elevator control, and this is your throttle control. Now, I mentioned that it comes stabilized. It has stabilization, auto stabilization, and the way you calibrate that is you put it on a flat level surface, bind it to the controller with an up down, or actually I think you have to bind it to the controller first, then bring both sticks down and outward like so, and that will calibrate the gyros of this plane for level flying. Now you can, with a flick of a switch, fly in fully stabilized mode by bringing this switch on the upper right shoulder button all the way back. That's fully stabilized. Center position is semi-stabilized. What I'm saying there, folks, is it's still stabilized. It just has higher bank angles and higher pitch angles when you put it in center position. And if you want to go full acrobatic, throw the switch all the way forward like so, and you can do loops and rolls with this aircraft, supposedly. We'll find out tomorrow when I take it out for flight. Now, the aircraft itself is constructed of EPP foam. What that means is it is very flexible. I'm not going to demonstrate it. In the ads, you see the guys twisting this to show how flexible this material is, EPP foam, to make it crash resistant. That's the idea of it. I'm not going to demonstrate it, but it supposedly is very crash resistant with the EPP foam due to its flexibility. It's a 500 millimeter in width wingspan on this. Again, a nice small aircraft, very lightweight aircraft at only, I believe it's 53 grams with the battery installed. What that means is this does not require registration in most countries. There are some countries, I think the U.S. might these days require registration. The FAA keeps changing the rules every day. I have a hard time keeping up with it, but in most cases, this will not require registration for this very lightweight, small beginner's aircraft. Other things about it, it is a brushed motor aircraft, so the motor will fail on this eventually, but by that time, you should be proficient enough to consider advancing to a better airplane. Okay, that motor should last more than enough to teach you how to fly this particular aircraft. Now, the propeller on the front of this is a quick disconnect propeller. So in a crash, this propeller will automatically disconnect itself via this little snap ring. This goes on the motor, and it clips like so. You just push it on and it clips on. It's a clip-on propeller in effect, but the idea is for this propeller to disconnect in a crash. If you crash into the ground with the motor running at full speed, this will automatically disconnect. The idea is to protect the motor, the brushed motor in there, to prevent it from overheating. So that's why it's like that, folks. So if you're complaining, every time I crash it, my propeller pops off, it's meant to do that. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, the range on this aircraft is not very long. It's 100 meters. That's more than enough, though, for this tiny aircraft. You're going to have a hard time seeing this at 100 meters. So you really should keep this close, around 50 meters for flying purposes, especially if you're a beginner. Do not let it fly out to 100 meters because you will quickly lose orientation if you do such. So keep it in close. And again, the range on this transmitter is more than enough for this particular aircraft. Now, what it comes with, I mentioned already, it comes with a spare propeller in case you do break that propeller, and it comes with another quick disconnect that you push onto the motor shaft for this aircraft. You get a 380 milliampere hour, and it's a 70-20-36 battery. What that means is 7 millimeters in thickness, 20 millimeters in width, and 36 millimeters in length. This is a very common battery, 360 milliampere hour, 3.7 volt LiPo. I think the Hubsan H107 actually used this size battery. So, but what I'm saying is you can easily find spare replacement batteries for this aircraft if you want to keep flying. But since this is a brush motor aircraft, I strongly recommend, if you do go that route and get a bunch of extra batteries to go out flying, give it at least 15 minutes in between flights to let that motor cool down, that brush motor cool down. You don't want to fly consecutively because you will overheat the motor if you keep flying in the aircraft, or by just swapping motors and going right up again, you will burn out that motor. So give it at least 15 minutes between flights to let it cool down. You get a battery charger with it. This is a little LiPo battery charger, USB battery charger you can plug into your computer, or I recommend using a wall charger. Plug this into a wall charger, phone wall charger, to recharge this aircraft. Other things you get in the box is an instruction manual. It is relatively a good instruction manual. It covers most of the important points of this aircraft, and along with how to change the propeller if you want to replace one of these propellers, how to remove this quick disconnect and remove the propeller and swap it in if you so wish to do such. Now let's go over some final things. I'll go over the transmitter real quick before we go out and go flying. This is the transmitter you get. It uses 4 AA batteries, like so. These are dollar store batteries. You don't really need the best, especially if you're only going to be flying at 100 meters on this. Again, this is throttle. This is pitch or elevator. This is roll. It actually uses rudder to do the roll. So I'm going to say rudder, and this is elevator. Let's keep it that way since this is a 3-channel. Be exact, specific what it is. Your on-off switches here. Now this does have gyro stabilization, like I mentioned, all the way forward. Again, is beginner rate. Center position gives you more pitch and roll angle, but it's still stabilized. And all the way back turns off all stabilizations, the gyros, and accelerometers. There's accelerometers in here. This is a 6G mode, they call that, which means 3 accelerometers and 3 gyros. But this turns them all off. You push it all the way forward if you want to do acrobatics. Now this does also have 1 key return, folks. To activate that, while it's on the ground before you take off, you point it in the direction that you want it to fly, like so. Then press, after you turn on the aircraft, turn on the transmitter, and then move this stick up and down to bind it. And then before you take off, press this upper button here, and that will set the headless mode direction, the direction of takeoff. And then when you go flying, keep the aircraft pointed down in that direction while it's flying. When you want it to return, you press this button here, and the aircraft will do a 180 degrees and will go in the exact opposite direction that it was pointed when it took off. Now that is not a true return to home. If you think about it, if you're to the right or left of that direction, it may actually fly away from you. But that is how it's meant to work. I'll try to remember to demonstrate that tomorrow when we go flying this. Other things I need to mention, again, you can calibrate the gyros on the ground. After you bind it, you bring both sticks down and outboard to bind the aircraft, like so. But let's go over how to actually connect the aircraft. What you do first is plug in the battery, and then before you close the door, place it on a flat level surface, and then turn on the transmitter and look for a solid red light, like so, and the beep, and that tells you it's bound to the transmitter. Now right now there is no throttle control, as you notice, but there is rudder control, as you see here, and there also is elevator control. So what you need to do, folks, is double check that the elevator or the rudder is centered right now, and also check your trims to make sure they're centered too. Move until you hear a loud beep like that, a solid beep like that, and that indicates center position. Same with the elevator. You're going the wrong way there. You heard the loud beep. So these positions should be center. I'm looking down at the rudder, and the rudder is a little bit to the left, so I am going to adjust that. And the way you adjust these is to bring it to the right. I'm just going to take a pair of needle nose pliers, and see this little connector right here, or this little U here? I'm just going to pinch in on it with needle nose pliers until that's centered. Do the same with the elevator if the elevator appears to be off-centered, and you could do that with this little U connector, or U on the push rod here, by either pushing it outbound or pointing inbound, like so. So that's the aircraft in effect. That's the main points of the aircraft. Also, before flight, notice we don't have any throttle right now, but now we do. If you move the throttle full up and full down, that arms the motors, and now I should have throttle control. Let's see if we do. I'm holding it like such, and we do. So that's how you bind it. Let's take this Super Cub 500 out into the field and see how it flies. So hope you enjoy this flight. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here on a beautiful Sunday morning out here to fly the Volantex Super Cub. Okay, to fire this up, to set it up, first off we need to plug in the battery. And you do such like so. Now this does not have an on-off switch. I wished it did have an on-off switch. That would make it a little bit easier here. But you want to plug in the battery and then stuff in those wires before the flight. And get that to clip also. That's a problem with this one there, is getting those wires stuffed in and getting the battery door locked and loaded. There we go. And then immediately put the drone on a flat level surface, like so, your takeoff surface. Now we're going to take off in that direction, but I'm going to also try to set the one key return mode in that direction, and I'll show you how first. Okay, make sure the switches are in beginner mode, and throttle down, and turn on the transmitter, and check the red light until it stops beeping, which indicates that it is bound to the aircraft. Now the aircraft will not, the motors will not work right now until you move up and down on that stick, and now the motors will now work. Okay, checking our surfaces before takeoff. There's the rudder, and the elevator's working properly. Okay, before takeoff, I'm going to point the direction of the airplane in that way, because I'm going to try to keep the airplane in that direction. And I'm going to set that as the opposite of the one key return direction. And to do that, you press this upper throttle trim button and hold it down, and that supposedly sets that direction. So we'll see if that actually works, because I'm going to take off in that direction. Okay, the aircraft's set. We're in beginner mode. We should be good to take off. So here we go. Oh, it took right to the air. How about pressing that one key return? It turns to the left. Turns to the left. And turning to the left. And I better turn it more to the left. But boy, this thing's a nice little flyer. I got the throttle turned off. It's gliding right now. It takes right to the air, folks. Now, this is not a windy day flyer. I can tell you that right now, based on how this is flying. But it is a very, very, very gentle flyer. Now, I'm in beginner rate. Let's go to intermediate rate and see what it does. Okay, yep. The turns are much more steep, harder turns, harder banking angle. Boy, the way this thing is flying is at really low throttle, folks. Look at that, 10% throttle. This could probably stay in the air a long time. We'll see. Okay, now I'm going to go down in this direction here. Press one key return. One key return has been pressed. Let's see what it does. Which way does it go? Is it going to come back in my direction, lowering the throttle, actually? Yeah. Okay, so I had pointed in that direction there, and it's coming back this way. Actually, it's just doing a U, or a circle in the air. A big circle in the air. So, that one key return, do not depend on it, folks. Okay, let's bring it down closer. I'm gliding it. Very, very gentle flyer with that stabilization system on. I want to bring it down low. It doesn't want. It just wants to climb. Lower, lower, lower. Now, could this be an indoor flyer? Yeah, very much so. If you want to fly this indoors in the winter, so it is winter's coming, and a lot of people want to go indoors and fly. Yeah, you can keep this in a very small area. This one obviously would be an excellent indoor flyer, to tell you the truth. If you want to fly in your local gym this winter, this would do it. Very easy to keep it in one spot. This is actually a wonderful little plane. I like it. Now, I'm going to take it up higher here in a bit to try out the acrobatics. Let's see if we can do a loop going up higher. Give it a little more throttle. It climbs quite readily indeed. And going to expert. There we go. Wing over. Coming around. And a nice loop. And another nice loop. Now, can you fly this in expert mode? It really wants to loop up like that. Look at those loops. 2, 3, 4. Going back to stabilized. It's a bit tail heavy out of the box, it appears to be, folks. As you've seen those loops. Let me do that again. But it does a loop quite readily. And roll over. It's having a hard time not stall. It stalls it quite easily. There we go. So yeah, it could do acrobatics quite readily. Coming back out of that. But again, this is a trainer. Gliding. Throttle is off. Throttle is off right now. Look how gentle this thing is. This is actually a wonderful plane. I'm looking at the current price of it right now, though. Although it is a wonderful plane, it seems a bit pricey in terms of its shipping right now. I hope they can get that shipping cost down, because this would be a nice plane for just about anybody learning to fly. But the shipping cost is currently quite expensive. And the reason being, the box for this is, you know, they advertise it ready to fly out of the box. Well, yeah, it just about is. The only thing that you really need to put onto it is put on its landing gear. Its landing gear is not attached to the aircraft when it comes out of the box, but that's about it. And you had the landing gear and you're ready to fly. So, okay, I'm going to do some more acrobatics going down this way, coming around before I switch now. Try to get around the acrobatics loop. Another loop. I got to push forward on the stick to come out of it, because it just wants to loop. See, right now I'm not touching the stick and it just wants to do the loop. So I got to push forward to level it. There we go, another loop. Okay, I'm flying without stabilization on, obviously, right now. And as such, it is a nice gentle flyer even then. But again, it seems to be somewhat tail heavy. I can trim that out using the, let me trim it out. Pushing down on the elevator. There we go, that's better. And now I'm flying without stabilization, obviously. We're pretty high right now, but let's do a loop. More loops. Boom. And bringing it around. So I'm going to try to fly without stabilization for most of the rest of the flight here if I can. Trying to bring it back down. It just wants to climb. Come back down here. So yeah, if you're flying in a gym, you don't want to go that high. Again, no stabilization right now. Probably need a little more downward nose trim. There we go. Or the correct way to do this is to put a little bit of weight on the nose here, folks, to balance the center of gravity. But I'm doing a cheat right now by giving it a little bit of downward trim, and that's what trim is actually for. But that's not the most efficient way to fly, folks. The most efficient way to fly is to actually add some weight onto the nose. Just smooth it out. Trying to bring it back down low again. Still not out of stabilization. Let's put the stabilization on for the remainder. Okay, and adjusting my hat too. Now I'm going to go back over here again. Okay, I am in mid-rate. This is expert rate. Let's do some figure eights. I hope my hat camera is centered because I just adjusted it. Let's do some figure eights. Going around, reducing that throttle. This is the max turn angle. Oh no, I guess I can give it a little bit of elevator too in the turn, and you get a much sharper turn like that. Let's bring it over here to show you that. Coming down, reducing throttle. Yeah, let's do a circle around us on this Sunday morning. Neat airplane, huh? The Super Cab. Okay, now let's get myself real dizzy by going in the opposite direction. Gentle flyer, real gentle. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. It's a very, very gentle flyer, very quiet little thing too. This is actually a wonderful little beginner's plane. It really is. I had to do a loop in front of you here. Do another one. It's a good plane, great beginner's plane. So coming around, I'm still not in stabilized mode right now because I want to do some more tricks. I'm just playing around up there in the air with this thing. It's fun. It's really a fun little plane. The Volantex. Volantex comes out with some neat airplanes. I'll give you that. I like the Ranger series. I got this big one, this big Ranger. I still got it today. I just haven't flown it lately. The idea was I was planning to use it as a FPV platform, but I came out with better airplanes, or smaller airplanes that could do the same thing that one could, and I just don't fly it anymore. I got to give that one away, I guess. I hope this is coming out, folks, because it's flying great. I'm reducing throttle to bring it down this hard. Now what I'm doing is hard left and pulling back on the elevator too. But let's bring it down closer for these hard turns here. Going the other way now. Yeah, loop. And another loop. Yeah, a beginner should easily transition from this to going from stabilized to unstabilized real easily with this one, because it's really gentle even with the stabilization system turned off. I wouldn't do that the first flight though, folks. Fly it a few times, get a good feel for it, and then consider turning off that stabilization system to be able to do this type of maneuvers. Okay, going back to stabilization, the reason being I want to press one key return again. And yeah, that one key return is very slow. It doesn't seem to really do much. And it's still climbing. Reduce that throttle. And there it is. It's one key return. Right now it thinks that's the direction of movement. Now, one key return, let me demonstrate that. Going unstabilized mode again. When you go into one key return, let's get into the extremis here and press that one key return, and there it goes. It automatically goes into stabilization mode, supposedly, when you go to one key return. Okay, I'm in center position right now. I am flying too far away for you folks to see this. So let's bring it back over here and reduce that throttle and keep it real close for the remainder of the flight until the battery dies, so you can see it for the remainder. But it is a long flyer, isn't it? On that little battery, that little 380 millimeter battery. Now look, I'm only about 1/3 throttle right now, and it's still wanting to climb. Going around the other way. So, yeah, winter's coming. This is a great indoor gym flyer. This is a great low wind day flyer. I would not fly this on windy. Well, I can't say that right now because it does have stabilization. I can't guarantee that it's you can't fly it on a windy day. But today I have no wind, so I can't really say what it's going to do on a windy day. Let's bring it down. Through the sun. Sorry about that, folks. Now I'm blind. The Volantex Cub. Not bad. Super Cub. One of the gentlest planes I've flown to date. This one. In terms of gentle and appropriateness for a beginner. And we'll just keep on flying until the battery goes out. Tell you what, let's go over to the grass field. Fly it over there. I'll hand launch it from over there. So let me land it. And we'll go over that way. Ooh, gentle landing too. Yeah, we'll go over to the grass field here. Let me adjust my camera on my hat and we'll get right back to it again. Okay, again, I got that stabilization system turned on. See how the elevator goes up and down depending on if the nose is pointed up, the elevator goes down, and if the nose is pointed down, the elevator goes up to hold the aircraft level. That's pretty cool. And also, if you're banking, see how the rudder turns to the right to bring that bank over to the right, and if it banks to the right, the rudder goes to the left to bring the aircraft back to level flight. So, pretty cool. Okay, we are over here. Let's fly it over here now. Okay. Boy, this thing just loves to take to the air. This is a well-designed little plane, I'll give you that. Well-designed little plane. I like it. I might actually keep this one because the way it flies is so gentle. Yeah, this is a good small park flyer. If you got a small park, you don't have a lot of real estate to go flying, yeah, this one's great for it. Again, mostly low wind day. I'm gonna say, yeah, this is a low wind flyer because of its weight. It is so lightweight, folks. It's featherweight, and I know the wind is going to take that away. Any good breezy wind is going to probably, I don't know if it's going to be able to fight it. That's what I'm saying. You'll be probably flying backwards with this one. Wonderful little plane. Going back to acrobatics. Rom, rom. And going back to that, stabilize, because I want to preserve the battery. That takes a lot of power when I'm doing those loops. I want to preserve the battery a bit so I get a little more flight time out of it. I'm coming down lower. Lower. Lower, because I am too high for you guys. And turning, 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 turning. And let's turn the other way now. Do some eights, figure eights. I'm trying to be as gentle as I can in these figure eights. Let's go around the pole. Around the pole. Going out a bit. Going out a bit. Past the pole. Turning to the left. Again, the range of this is about, they say 100 meters. That's more than enough for this little plane. Again, you get out to 100 meters, that's past the edge of the field here. And again, I don't need to fly that far with this little one. I really want to keep it closer. Going the other way. We'll just fly it until we're out of juice. You gotta blame it on the juice. Yeah. Very gentle flyer. Okay, I'm starting to give it a little more throttle to stay in the air. So I'm thinking the battery's probably getting low about now. Okay, we're at 40% throttle now to stay in the air. 50% throttle to stay in the air. So that battery's starting to get low. When I get the, oh no, it's climbing again. Take that back. Cutting back the throttle. If I had a little bit of updraft, this thing would stay in the air indefinitely, this little featherweight plane. I mentioned, its weight. I am currently unsure if this, I think this does need to be registered. This little lightweight plane here needs to be registered with the FAA, but I don't know what the other countries are saying right now. Before, the FAA had a minimum weight of 250 grams, but I think they want them all registered now, which is saying I'm not going to get into politics of that because it changes so often. The rules change. I think it's changed like 5 times since I've been doing this. But here we go. It's flying nice. Oh, there we go. We're at a low power now. I'm going to land it now. Let's see if I bring it back to me. Oh, there we go. Ain't no more power. So that's the Volantex Super Cub, a beginner's RC airplane. Very, very lightweight. Very easy to fly, to tell you the truth, folks. Just put it on that stabilization. Again, I had it on mid stabilization. That allows you to turn faster. Beginner stabilization, the turns are very, very shallow. Acrobatics, this can do loops and rollovers quite readily. A lot of power in this motor for this very lightweight plane. I was flying most of the flight with about 10 to 20% power to maintain level flight. Anything above 10 to 20% on that throttle was making it climb. So yeah, a good plane. I'm just not sure about its current shipping price. I hope that comes down. And the reason being for the high shipping price is this comes in a box ready to fly, and the box is quite big because of that. You get the airplane, you get the controllers in there like this, and the box is about so big. I should have included the picture of the box in this. So I hope you enjoyed this flight. It's Quadcopter 101, signing out. Hi, Quadcopter 101 here again. Hey, if you want to get your own shout out in one of my future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It's real simple. Just go to my channel page and click on that subscribe. And also make sure to click that bell button right next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified when I release a brand new video immediately and give you a chance to get that first shout out. So give it a try, folks.